In today's episode of Now You're Talking, I'm joined with Charlotte Hill to talk about what it really means to live well in a world that's always online. Together, we explore the double-edged nature of social media, how it can offer joy, connection, and even a boost to our mental health, while also carrying the risks of addiction, isolation, and comparison. Charlotte opens up about her personal journey, the lessons she's learned through grief and personal growth, and how she's found balance between embracing technology and stepping away from it. Whether you're a parent raising kids in a tech-saturated age or someone looking to reclaim presence in your own life, this conversation will inspire you to reflect, reset, and reconnect. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You'll find all the links in the show notes below. Let the conversations begin. Char, nice to meet you again.
Hi, nice to.
Hi, we met once briefly, and it turned into a whole evening.
It was such a fun day and night.
Just to give our audience a little context, you're a good friend of one of my daughters.
Hmm.
And we just spontaneously met one evening, and you ended up having dinner with us. And
So
that's
much
when
fun.
I realized that you just needed to be on this podcast. And you
Yeah.
very quickly
Amazing.
said, so Char, which is short for Charlotte, um, Char, tell me about what inspired me to ask you if you'd be on this podcast was our conversation around this podcast and around the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
How are you navigating it?
Yeah. I'm navigating it as best I can. Decided to curate my social media so that it was an enjoyable space, so that I wasn't doom scrolling and taking in negative information. So my Instagram, which is where I spend most of my time, is dogs, hockey, comedians, all the things I love, things that make me smile, things that make me laugh. So I thought I was doing the right thing by making it a great space to lift my serotonin instead of decrease my serotonin, with some people have a real problem with doom scrolling and taking in too much news and all of that. But the flip side of that is I like going there. I like going
Oh,
to my Instagram because it is a funny, great space to hang out. And I think that is another flip side to, phone addiction is you get those micro serotonin hits. I watch
yes.
a funny video of someone falling down. I'm laughing. It's hilarious. So I go to the next one because I want more. And I see a cute dog being cute, or I go the next one. It's a hockey highlight from the 90s that I love. So, and then next thing you know, you're there for hours. And I call it an addiction because it very much is an addiction. It ebbs and flows. So sometimes it's worse than others. Sometimes I go, a week only checking it for maybe an hour a day. But when it's at its peak, I can be on my phone for upwards of 8 hours a day.
Does that coincide with other things that are happening in your life?
So in my 40s now, hangover lasts a week. And it is not just I'm sick the next day and then things are back to normal. It is, I might feel a little headache or whatever the next day, but then it's almost like a week of low mood. And I'm not hungover that much, but I also get low mood from my menstrual cycle.
Yes.
I get low mood from, it's just if something happens in life, which things like to happen in my life a lot, things pop
Yes.
up here and there. So it ebbs and flows. But yeah, I find that I am going to my Instagram for serotonin at times when serotonin has dropped in my day-to-day offline world.
And so that is now become a conscious decision.
Well, I think I'm aware of it. When it's happening, I'm aware of it, but I don't care because it's not harming me. It's not like, addiction to cocaine or addiction to drinking or, any of these other, vices that have serious effects on your. I've been on my phone some days where all of a sudden my eyes are blurry. I'm like, geez, you need to like go for a walk or something. Get out of the house.
When I think of 8 hours, is that an
Eight
extreme for
hours
you?
is pretty extreme. Yeah.
What's the opportunity cost of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I miss out on a summer day, perhaps, that there's an opportunity to go out and get some vitamin D and hit some sunshine. The kids call it rot, your bed rotting, where you're just in bed and you're rotting your brain. There's an awareness around it. For someone like me who I have had addiction to other things in the past,
Yes.
This is the less dangerous form. So instead of me looking at like an opportunity where I've missed an opportunity for something, I'm kind of seeing it as a bit of a safe space to deal
Okay.
with your serotonin low. So I don't, if I was doing 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, then there's a
Yes.
real issue.
Right.
And there's been, bouts of where I've been doing 4 or 5 for a week straight or whatever. 8 hours is pretty extreme. It's almost like harm reduction in a sense for
Okay.
someone like
Yeah.
me who's had way more harmful vices in
Yes.
the past. But at the same time, I am aware that it is an addiction and that there are other places where I can get serotonin, like going for a walk and smelling a flower.
Yes.
But sometimes I like to just hide out in my apartment. And I think that's
Right.
a pretty common thing with a lot of people these days. Now
Hmm.
that your apartment has so much to offer via your phone screen,
Yes.
right?
Because you're connected to the world in the protective space of your
Yeah,
apartment. And,
exactly.
and when you get on the phone and then when get on your screen and then you get off your screen, what is the difference between how you feel at the beginning and at the end?
I think, if I put in a good phone session, 5+ hours of just scrolling, or I also like to watch trash TV on my phone sometimes when I'm in that mood. I'd say the biggest negative impact is just judgment for myself, feeling bad that I didn't do anything with my day
Oh,
other than that. So, and then there's also the side effect of, well, let's do something to change that. So that's what I mean by ebbs and flows, because, for
yes.
the past couple weeks, I haven't been spending a lot of time on my screen. I've been enjoying summer and getting out and doing things and socializing. And I find I haven't been on my phone very much. But, let's say next week something happened, or I wanted to have a day where I needed to rot on my phone, feel bad about it.
The voices in your head are saying, no, this is
Yes.
not right. That's difficult, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it does, our judgment of ourselves causes more harm than I think a lot of the things we're judging ourselves for do. So it's a
Yes.
bit of a mental battle.
And so you say that you're watching dogs and animals and comedians. What about, and I think more of the younger generation and how they're being so
Hmm.
influenced by influencers and people online. How do you feel when you see other people on one of your feeling like rot days? How do you
Hmm.
feel when you see people who are having what you perceive as being more fun or a better life or whatever it is?
So that's part of my curation. I don't follow people on
You don't
Instagram.
follow.
And my
Okay.
rule is, unless I call you on your birthday and tell you I love you, I'm not going to be following you on Instagram. That's what my Facebook is for. And I don't scroll Facebook because for that reason precisely. Well, if I'm having a great day, I don't want to be on Facebook. But
Yes.
if I'm having a low mood day, I can't go on Facebook because I don't want to see people out traveling and having fun when I'm in a bit of a depression hole. There's certain times of year that gets harder. Christmas time, I can't do Facebook. Christmas is
Yeah.
always a tough time of year for me. I think some people wallow, so they'll find that and then they'll go deeper. For me, it's very much no.
Yes.
Falling. I've had situational depression on and off for probably my whole life, but so never a chemical imbalance diagnosed, but consistently throughout my life, there's been hardships. I've had it situationally, and I've had some very, very deep depression. So for me, avoiding a depression is like life or death. So I would not even toy with the idea of going on Facebook at Christmas. It would just be
Oh.
too much.
Oh, really? It's been a journey of self-reflection and self-discovery.
I think that's why my Instagram is such a great place to be, because it's the opposite of that. It's like being addicted to sugar instead of being addicted to cigarettes. My Instagram is like sugar. I love it. It's sweet. It's gonna give me like a little high. Whereas no one, I think very few people who are addicted to smoking actually enjoy smoking and enjoy smelling and tasting. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong, but.
It's been a journey for you then to get to where you are. So you say you're addicted, but it's sort of
Hmm.
like you're consciously addicted because it's helping you through times when they're difficult
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it lifts you up a little bit.
Yeah, and my attention, when I'm in a lower mood, my attention span seems shorter. So sometimes I'll try and read a book, but I'll go 3 pages and realize, oh, I've been thinking about something else.
Something else.
I
Yeah.
think that's where I think that's where they get you, those short snippets. If I'm in a low mood scrolling moment. If the reel is too long and too in depth, I'm like, next, and I just switch over to the next one, right? So Instagram, they're pretty genius. They know what they're doing.
And Instagram is your social media of choice,
Yes. Yeah.
that over everything
I'm
else.
too old for TikTok. I've been told by the younger generations. Well, there's just memes about like, millennials being on TikTok and go back to Instagram. I'm like, fine, I'm happy here. I don't want your TikTok anyway.
So, so tell me about your observations when you're out in the world as it relates to the digital era,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
please.
waitress. I have seen it's everywhere. I see people on their anniversary dinners. We get little chits saying, oh, this table's come in, they want a window seat, and they're celebrating their anniversary. And then they'll sit across from each other on their phones.
Yeah.
People not being allowed to eat until the right photo's been taken. I've served influencer, and I use quotations because I think she only had like 5,000 followers, which a lot more than me, but by no means is an influencer. I've served influencers dining with their phone on a tripod and taking
Oh,
photos of themselves to make it look like they're on a date. It's definitely an interesting world. There's been a switch. I see parents, and I don't know what it's like to be a parent. I'm not judging, but when I was growing up, we would play X's and O's or the dot game.
yes.
Or we would do coloring. Young kids are on their iPads in restaurants nonstop now. And I think where I work is a high-end restaurant. So maybe this is a situation where parents are, we need, like, this is a nice restaurant. We can't afford to have a meltdown. So we're giving them the iPad. Maybe they don't get any screen time home. Again, I'm not judging, but that's still a reliance on a screen. And I've also seen it in positive situations. I've seen kids come in that, from the little bit I do know about being on the spectrum, I've seen kids be able to go to restaurants and dine safely because they're on a screen and because they've got headphones on. Um, and that experience and that food wouldn't be possible for them if they didn't have that safety.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen it for positive as well in some circumstances.
Yes. You've been in the restaurant industry now, you said in management and also in a server role
Yeah.
for how many years, Star?
21. So I started when I
21
was
years.
19.
Oh my goodness.
I did
Yes.
management for about 11 of those. And then now I'm a server, which is, oh, so incredible. When I clock out, work's over. It's just
Right.
a beautiful thing. They offered me
Right.
management in my interview because they saw my resume, and I was like, I'm just gonna serve for now. Thank you.
You've seen the whole evolution from
Yeah.
nothing to complete,
Yes.
and we're not done yet, but
No.
we're just ramping up for the next phase. But
Yeah.
with AI, so yeah. So tell me about that, the evolution of digital from your perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like, some people will snap a quick photo of their food now, but there was a phase. We went from no phones, then we went to smartphones and everyone having a camera all of a sudden. And there was an uptick in people arranging the food, the lighting, one person holding a light on their phone and then someone snapped it. Like people weren't eating their phone for 20 minutes until they got like the right photo and posted it and then they could enjoy it. Now I'm seeing this wave of people realizing that phones aren't necessarily an addition to a meal. So although you do get the occasional like quick snap photo, I'm seeing people actually consciously put their phone down. And maybe that's because I work in like a really nice restaurant too, and people are often coming in for special occasions, anniversaries, birthdays, so they do want to enjoy their meal. But so the photographing food I feel like has gone down,
Oh,
but
interesting.
but people on their phones, that's definitely still a thing. I walked by the park the other day and I saw a baby on a blanket. This child could not walk. It was an infant rolling around on a blanket and a parent on each side, and both of them were on their phones. And I was just like, that's heartbreaking to me. And
Yes.
that's what happens in restaurants too. Like, are you guys texting each other, or you're right in
Yes.
front of each other?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's sad. A lot
Y-
of lost moments.
Yeah, and you're insightful and you're observant. What do you think needs to happen for things to shift even further?
It just has to be a conscious decision on the individual. People have to, and sadly, I worry, especially folks with young kids, they have to realize what they're losing out on. I also know it's a pretty holistic problem we have here. Some people can't get off their phone because of their job. I think there needs to be a shift in the workforce, how people are demanded, to work. I'm a huge proponent of shifting to a 4-day work week. Because I think it just people need it. It's
Hmm.
it's it's been proven to increase productivity and increase happiness in life and rest. Those things lead to
Yes.
better productivity. I think people go on their phones because they're stressed. And so whatever we can do as a society to help people be less stressed,
Hmm.
I think that would benefit it.
And so you
Yeah.
think that would lead to less screen time? Oh, okay. Interesting. So, um, if you were to think about, one shift that you could make, a change in your life, what would that be?
I've started, so this is a weird thing to admit because people think I'm crazy, but I have not been a big music person. So I'm musically inclined. I'm a very good singer and I know music. Like I was raised on a air, like classical, I know operas. I haven't been the type of person to wake up and put music on in the house. Um, I used to listen to just like talk radio on in the
Yeah.
background,
Huh.
but I've become more of a consciously more of a music person lately. And I find now putting music on and checking my email on my laptop. Doing the housekeepings that I need to do, banking, email, that sort of stuff. Doing that on my laptop instead of my phone has made a big difference because if you're picking up your phone to check your email,
Hmm.
it is so easy to pop on over and
Yeah.
hit that, right? I don't have
Right.
Instagram on my laptop, so it takes away, that desire. Also, oddly, I find that my Apple Watch
Yes.
keeps me off my phone too, because a lot of times I'll just get a text right to my watch, and my watch, I'm not going to check my Instagram on my watch, so I'm able to communicate the text. And then again, if you're texting not from your phone, you're less likely to hit that Instagram or Facebook button.
Well, that's such a simple solution, but
Hmm.
that's a conscious one that you have made and
Hmm.
continue to make in order
Hmm.
to decrease screen time. That's very helpful.
I'm gonna start plugging my phone into charge, not next to my bed. So setting my alarm on this side of the room and then going to bed.
How is that going to shift your behavior?
Because a lot of my scrolling is when I wake up and when I go to
Yes.
bed. It's to
Okay.
unwind, it's just the
Right.
opposite of unwinding. We're tricking
Yes.
ourselves into thinking we're unwinding. Yeah.
So tell me, what's the correlation between music and your screen then?
I think it fills the empty space.
Hmm.
I live alone.
Yes.
And having music on, I could go back to the radio, but again, avoiding the news doom
Yes.
information. Yeah, it's funny. I find I started doing it when I was on vacation. When I was traveling, I started, because you don't have all the endless data when you're in Mexico. It's going to be
Yes.
charged for. I've just started doing music to wake up to when I'm like, why am I not doing this at home? And then
Oh,
it's just,
interesting.
there's something in the empty space.
Yes. Well, those are three simple things that you've
Hmm.
just mentioned that could help people a lot.
Hmm.
Music to fill the empty space. Put your phone on at least the other side of the bed and
Hmm.
use your laptop for more things than your phone, even
Yeah.
though both can do the same job to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
you
I
off
think I think
the
the reason
social
why we're
media.
so addicted to our phones is because there's an app for everything. There's an app for
Yes.
your to-do list. There's an app for this and that. And so I'm trying to go back to a more in-person form of that. I like a good ballpoint pen and a fresh piece of paper for my to-do list.
Okay. So you're going back to the basics.
Going backwards.
Yes. Okay, well, thank
Yeah.
you. Like you, Shar, I am concerned about how people are often alone together as they're on their
Hmm.
screens, and
Hmm.
that's why I created the board game. Now you're talking,
Yes.
and what I would like to do is ask you a few questions of the board
Yes.
game.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm
And
excited.
so the board game cards span between the impressionable years, growth and change,
Hmm.
diversity, then there's a wild
Hmm.
card, and then roles, who we are in the world. What is the greatest life lesson that you learned in high school?
Oh, in high school. Oh, Probably life lesson. It's got to be around my friendships. I think that the biggest life lesson I learned in high school was good friends, you got to keep them close.
Yeah.
I'm still best friends with all my best friends from high school.
Oh,
And
terrific.
not just one or two, like all of them.
And
Yeah.
what happened in high school that gave you that
You know,
realization?
our group of girlfriends in high school, we went through real life problems in high school. One of my best friends' moms died when we were in grade 12
Oh,
after a
it's true.
long battle with cancer. My dad was always diagnosed and beating some form of he had cancer 3 times, but he kept beating it. But in high school, we didn't know if that was going to be the end result. So kind of when you have real problems to face,
Hmm.
you form a different type of bond. When you don't have real problems to face, but that's lucky for them. But we saw the you're all a big group of friends, but there was like our core unit that faced real problems, and then our sort of tertiary friends who they would bicker amongst each other and steal each other's boyfriends and kick this person. It was mean girls stuff.
Yes,
And
yes.
we just never did that. I had
Huh.
a core four. We were called the Quad Squad by everybody, and we're still best friends. And we just always respected and loved each other and lifted each other up because we just didn't have time for the BS. We had real stuff
Yes.
going on.
Oh,
So
boy.
it's a huge silver lining to the stuff that happened.
To all that adversity. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. When was the last time, Shar, that you did something that really scared you?
Scared me. I don't scare easily. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I think a few years ago, I went bungee jumping.
Oh,
But no,
did you?
I wasn't even scared. It's a really tricky one. I really don't scare easily. I mean, I don't know. Opening up your heart can be scary. So I would say there was a relationship in the past couple of years where it made me sick to my stomach because of
Mm,
being vulnerable. So maybe that is the scariest sort of thing I've gone through.
yes.
And it turns out that my gut was right and I shouldn't have been with them. And my body was screaming run, but I'd already invested a certain amount. I've already had this idea in my head of what it was going to be. But it was
Right.
scary moving forward because my body was really telling me like this isn't the right person.
It's so
So
interesting, isn't it? The body does not lie.
the
No, and if you ignore it and you shut
yeah.
down that part, the body will find another way out.
Yeah. And
It's
I
just
learned from that too because I found myself, a year later in a situation where I was reminded of that person by this person. So my walls were up and I was like, I don't know, there's something off about you. And lo and behold, the truth spilled out. Total loser, player, liar. Nothing romantic had happened because my walls were up and I was still, the body doesn't lie because I got the exact same feelings, but I protected myself this time and was able to get out
so.
unscathed.
Um, no, I'm not gonna. What defines you, Star?
Probably my heart, how much I love my friends. Yeah, when I love someone, it's yeah, I'm in the top one percentage of lovers out there. Like if I love you, I'm very good at showing it, acts of service, words of affirmation, and not just like not talking romantically, but just
Yes, just
there's
your.
nothing I wouldn't do for my friends.
I bet that stems from the close bond that you had with the pod squad. Quad squad, okay.
It was such a learned behavior from my mom. Yeah, my mom was the most loving person on the planet and
Oh,
very self-sacrificing, almost as a detriment to her. So I'm trying to not be self-sacrificing in the wrong circumstances.
yes.
I love
Thank you. Let's see. How have you helped? And I'm sure you have. How have you helped someone through adversity?
just being there, being their support, doing things for them that they couldn't do for themselves because they were in survival mode.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
being their hands and their head and helping to just organize
Just,
and yeah, get paperwork done. Yeah, just literally
just,
carrying someone through a really hard time and happy to
okay.
do it. Not happy it's happening.
And allow that person to be vulnerable. If your dreams did come true, Shar, where would you be and what would you be doing?
Oh, I love that question because I've been thinking about this so much lately and making plans. If my dreams come true, I will be living on a small-ish island, near the Sunshine Coast, Gambier, Keats. I would have a very humble, easy to clean little house, simple, light colors, a few extra bedrooms so friends can come. It would be waterfront with a little dock, and I could go swimming every morning and drink my coffee on the dock with the ocean mist on my face. And I would be working remotely. As much as I love waitressing, I know that physically I can't do it forever. So I'm starting to think about, I've got, quite a few more waitressing years in me, to help make this plan come to fruition. And I would be helping others. I think I am a natural born healer. And I'm thinking right now about how to do grief work, helping
Oh,
people through their grief.
see.
I want to do that both online,
Yes.
in a sort of not as a counselor. I don't have 7 years to go back to school in me, or the 2 year diploma. I don't even want to do the 2 year, but I want to just take all the wisdom and knowledge that I've gained through my own healing. I just want to help others unstick their grief. So many
Ah,
people protect it and hide it and hold it inside, and it festers and it causes physical ailments, depression. I just want to help people like move it through their body so that they can get back to a healthier physical and mental baseline. So I would love to be able to work remotely and live in my little house by the ocean.
okay.
And I would have a boat instead of a car.
Well,
I
that
can go to the city and catch an Uber from there.
well, you've put some thought into that. So, on that note, how has grief transformed you?
Well, first and foremost, it's made me unafraid of death. I've had some pretty spiritual experiences connecting with loved ones who have passed away. So, I don't know how to explain that without people thinking I'm crazy, but I just know that this isn't it when we
Hmm.
die. I know with every ounce of my being. And it's not because a bird flew in front of me the day my mom died. Like it's real communications that have happened. So that's the biggest thing. I think we live our lives so afraid of death, and
Hmm.
I have none of that. I could die tomorrow, and my friends would know, well, she wasn't afraid of it.
Yes.
Um, and it's also made me really appreciate what's in front of you because it doesn't last forever.
Right. Yes.
Relationships are sweeter, or you're not going to pass up going to a birthday party because, like, you don't know if that person will be around the following year. Death can happen to anybody, not just the elderly. So,
Yes. Yeah.
really celebrating people, like for the little things, like your friends, have a 10-year wedding anniversary. Like, let's celebrate that. Let's not just
Hmm.
let it pass by. And learning to celebrate myself as well. I kind of hid in the shadows for many years because I felt like all I was bringing to the table was grief. So learning that that's not my only narrative, and then learning to celebrate myself.
Okay. So just that and thinking about the dream that you hold before you. I always believe that we have to have gone through that level of grief
Yeah.
and we go through it for a reason so we can fulfill our dream, which leads us
Yes.
closer to our purpose,
Absolutely.
hopefully.
Absolutely.
So hopefully all the pain that you've been in
Hmm.
is for a reason, not
I
that it
always
makes it
say
any easier.
no, but there is a bit of a silver lining to having already survived your biggest nightmare,
Right.
which was
Yes.
losing my parents, and I'm doing okay. I'm doing
Yes.
better than okay.
One. Um,
Yeah.
what what are you going to name your next dog?
Okay, so this is maybe just a joke, but we carry this wine at work, and the winery is called El Barco. And I just thought that would be such a funny name for a Chihuahua. I'm a Chihuahua girl. The next one I get is going to be a Chihuahua again because I want to be able to travel with a little pocket-sized creature. I won't know until I meet the dog, but maybe the middle name will be El Barco.
That's great. Uh, I think that's all I've got for you today because you almost brought me to
Awesome.
tears.
To fight back a few of my own, so we're in it together.
Thank you. So, Shar, thinking back to what you said about your journey with digital, your observations with digital, and how you are now moving through it and trying to find solutions for your own life in terms of your own evolution and your own change. What do you hope for, and what can you share with people who are listening in terms of words of wisdom from your
Yeah.
perspective, please?
I think this digital world that we live in can be such an amazing thing. Access to information has never been easier. Now, access to untruthful information has also never been easier. So, my hope for the world, and I fear it might be in vain, is that people use this tiny little computer that we have in our hand to benefit themselves because it's there, the opportunity is there, not just harming, being aware of whether you're harming yourself with this thing or whether you're not. And with the advancement of AI, it's horrifying, like what might happen. So my hope for the future of the digital era is that people are intelligent around their phones. So understanding how to fact check, not just, reading the headlines of something and taking it at face value, like taking things with a pinch of salt or learning how to fact check or using it for educational purposes. And what? I don't think there is anything wrong with having a little snippet of Instagram in a day, but knowing boundaries around that too. If you're having a bad day and you go on Instagram for 5 minutes and it's a happy place and it makes you laugh and now you're in a better mood, and so you go forward in your day in a better mood, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just like anything in life, we have to consume things in moderation.
Yes.
So my hope would be that we consume this digital world in moderation and that we do it wisely.
Yes. And any additional words of wisdom for parents, please?
Sometimes the easiest way isn't the best way, especially with the really, really young kids, because that is their eyes developing. I don't know. I feel icky giving advice to parents because I'm not a parent, so I feel bad doing it. But from what I've witnessed, the easiest way isn't always. I mean, it's hard parenting, but this is what you signed up for. And you've just got to figure out and ask for help if you need help from other parents who have figured it out. Parents are
Yes.
so isolated these days. Finding help in
That's,
communities and reaching out when you need help. And nothing, I don't think there's anything braver than a parent being like, I can't do this on my own. I need help. So
mhm,
having
mhm.
figuring out an exchange babysitter program with another parent so that you and your partner get the time off so that you can have a date night so that when you come back to your full-time parenting, you don't need to just throw a screen at them. You
Yes.
have more energy. You've recharged your own batteries. I don't think there's anything more draining on this planet than being a parent. The
Yes. And I,
lack of
and
the
I,
lack of sleep and the 24/7, it's a hard job.
I believe it's harder now because of the digital era than it
Yeah.
was when I raised my
And we're
kids. And
and it's just it's all the more isolating.
so tell me,
We do this thing in North America where we build high fences and we don't know our neighbors and then we get sucked into our phone and it's just so everything is incrementally more and more isolating.
and do
Bring
you,
down those walls, like get to know your neighbors, lean on each other for support, lean on community. If they say it takes a village to raise a child and yet you got two parents over here, sometimes one parent over here doing it all on their own. It's
yes,
devastating.
yes. And so do you think from your observations that it's become more isolating as a parent these days than
Yes.
before?
Yes.
And
Especially post COVID because
how
you
so?
had
Why do you think?
COVID, you had to. It was like adapt or die. So people became very good at isolating. I find that as a single person myself, I find
Yes,
it's so easy for me to isolate, especially because my job is very social. So I'm kind of burnt out after my work
right.
days. Like I'm happy to
Yes,
isolate. But at the end of the day, humans we didn't evolve to be isolated. We evolved to be in community and in group settings and lean on each other and support each other. And phones do make isolating a lot easier because it again, it fills the void of silence. You're getting a social experience by watching other people socialize online or laughing or joking or whatever. So I think it is getting worse with phones. It's a lot easier to isolate.
yes,
Before phones, a mom might say, I need to go out and have a glass of wine with a friend, or I need to go have a coffee or go for a walk. But if you're getting some form of social interaction or what your brain perceives as social interaction just from watching videos, you're less likely to have that um, clock go off being like, you need to get out of the house, you need to go socialize.
yes. You need to find a friend or call a friend,
Yeah,
or that's very true. And I
yeah,
think we've all just sort of been lulled slowly into that without even
yeah,
really being
yeah.
aware that it's
No,
happening. And then all of a
uh,
sudden it's the new normal. Just to finish up, Sharon, thank you very much for
Thanks for
taking the
having me.
time to meet. You're very insightful, and just a couple more, um, Sharisms.
Yeah, walk slowly. Don't always walk for exercise. Walk slowly. It's cliche, but smell the flowers. That is just as good, if not better, as a funny video on Instagram. That closing your eyes and taking in the flowers. Find a way to be okay in the silence. So you don't always have to fill the voids. There's some days I don't put music on and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the
Yes,
silence of my mind. But
and
that is such an individual challenge, but do what you can to figure it out because life is short and it's going by so fast. Especially for the young people too. Do it now because you are in a healthy body. Your legs work, your arms work, your liver works, for most of us. But there's going to get to a point where you might not be able to go for that long walk down to the beach because your knees start failing you. Or you might not be able to like go out for a coffee and a croissant because you have to start, you didn't walk enough, so now you have diabetes. We are in healthy bodies and be grateful for your body and do the stuff, when you're older, then you can be on your phone. When you can't, while you're 80, then get on your phone, but yeah, just do it now. And for God's sakes, if you're not doing it, don't judge yourself. If you are having a day where you need to isolate and you need to rot, look at it as taking a rest for your body and don't judge it. Because if you're resting and you're judging yourself, you're not actually resting.
words to live by, Sharon. Thank you very much, and
Uh,
appreciate your time. Charlotte's story is a powerful reminder that technology should be a tool for connection, not a substitute for it. From the highs of shared moments online to the deep lessons learned through loss, Charlotte's journey shows the importance of being intentional about how we engage with the digital world. So take a deep breath, put down your phone, and make space for the conversations and connections that truly matter. Because life moves fast, and the moments we savor offline are often the ones that stay with us forever. Until next time, let the conversations begin. Now you're talking.